Hello and welcome to another bodgit and leggit video. Now you might be wondering what we're staring at on the ground, and that is brake fluid. I recently did a video on how to change an ABS sensor, and I had it here the following day because I had to do a few other little stupid bits on it, nothing major, but just other bits, change the lights and just maybe half an hour's work. And obviously as I came in, big puddle of brake fluid. And what happened is the actual brake line completely rusted out, but it's rusted into the flexible brake line, which is here, and it's the same on the far side. This is the ABS sensor we replaced. So what I'm going to do today is showing you how to replace the flexible hose and how to replace the the copper hose. Now I've done a video on how to make a copper hose. I'm not going to show you on this, but I'm going to make one and install it. So if you want to see the other video, there's one of them already there. Here's our parts. We have a left and a right. We're doing both of them. It's important to note now the flexible lines haven't gone. What's happened is it's just that rusty. Where are we? With that rusty here, I cannot undo it, and it's just going to snap everything, so I have to replace everything, which is great. Let's crack on. So the first thing I'm going to do, just to make it a bit easier on me, is I'm going to cut this copper line just here, just where the bad bit ends, because I followed it all the way back and it goes all the way in there, and there's no point, it's all good there. So I'm just going to basically join it here, so just have a little connection here. So as I cut through this, I should be able to cut this and kind of seal it at the same time. That's what I'm hoping. It's just that bad, it's just snapped there, which I suppose at the minute isn't really a big issue. Yeah, I need to get bigger pliers, but anyway, it's out the way at the minute, so we need to get the right flexible line. Open up here. There's a left and a right, because we had this bracket on here, and we also, that's where the ABS sensor goes, and they also, which is very nice, give us a new banjo bolt. You normally don't get banjo bolts. So we've got a new banjo bolt, new copper washers and everything, so new clips, shiny. Now I've just got to work out if this is the left or the right one. I think it's the wrong one. Yeah, this is the right one. And you can just visually make sure, yeah, there's a little hole there. So there's a little hole in the actual spring hanger, which this part slots into. Just makes it a bit easier if you, and actually if you look at it closely, it does say R in it, so we know this is the right one. Yeah, I should look more carefully really. So it's simple enough really. We have the I think it's a 13 or a 10, not really sure, it's hard to say. Undo that, undo the banjo bolt, and the whole thing is off, because obviously we've just snapped the brake line. But what I can't seem to work out is the bend of that. That's not right. The twist, oh, so obviously, again, no. The twist, what I'm trying to work out is when this sits here like this, the banjo bolt is at the wrong angle. I have to twist it, and once I twist to get it at the right angle, it puts a big bend in the now this is not the right one, so I wonder why that is. I suppose the best thing to do first is to take it off and to actually see what we're at, because basically it's putting that kind of a bend in it, which isn't bending it bad, but I'm just concerned why it's putting that sort of bend in it. Anyway, we'll whip this off because there's no point looking at it anymore. I'm just going to disconnect the ABS sensor from it. We'll work it out once we have it off. Now it's a 14mm on the little banjo bolt. It's a 14mm on the little banjo bolt. Now no harm to keep these little banjo bolts because we have a new one, but no harm to keep the old ones because you never know. So that's one end out. Now I need to find out what size bolt this is. And hopefully not completely rusty, which it kind of feels like it is. 13mm, let's try that. Now, feels like 13mm will work. Will the extension be too long? No, should be alright. Yeah, 13mm it was. As we can see, just absolutely crusty with rust. Lovely. One thing we do need to get right when we're making the brake lines. Now I have gone through this on the other video, but as you can see, we have a female connection in there, so we need to put the male end on this side of our brake line. And then once we're joining it onto the existing brake line, we need a male and female end for the actual connectors to join so they don't leak. So it's important just to check which end you actually need. And as we can see, we've basically curved in, so we need the male to sit in. If we were curved out, we need the female. So that's the easiest way to explain it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put this on here, I think, first. And then I'm going to make the brake line and fit the brake line onto there. I think that's going to be the easiest thing for me to do. We will soon find out. Now, that's that in. Now we can kind of have a bit better look at this banjo bolt and see what happens when we put it in. And see what we're getting as regards our bend. Now I have to say, to be fair, now we can see it has put a slight bend in it, but there's no kinks in it, and it's actually lifting it further up from the ground. So to be fair, there's nothing actually wrong with that. There's no sharp bends, there's no kinks, there's no nothing, so that is actually okay. Which is good. Now let's see if I can get the old camera in a bit better. Okie dokie, so we're going to tighten this. This is a 13mm this time rather than a 14mm, but it doesn't really matter. It's the one that came with it, so it's all good. Now you do have to be careful with these banjo bolts because they are hollow in the middle, so you can't tighten them like a normal bolt as regards how tight you put them, because if you do, as we can see, there's a big hole in the middle of it to allow the brake fluid to come through. So obviously you need them tight so they don't leak, but you wouldn't tighten them like you would say a normal 13 or 14mm bolt, because they'll just snap and then you'll be in a world of trouble. So give it a nice nip. It's horrible tightening these because literally half a turn, not even, and they'll snap. So to be fair, I'm happy enough with that. We can obviously clip all this back in once we've done it. I'm going to now make up my little copper line. It needs to be 7 or 8 inches, not even that maybe. We'll install that and we're halfway there. Obviously we're going to do the other side because it's just best. That's another thing, if you do see a rusty brake line in your car, it's always best to check the other side or check the other ones, because if one's rusty, there's a good chance another one's going to be rusty. The front ones on this are absolutely perfect, and all the lines going back are perfect. It's just the actual right near the spring, that's where it's actually gone. So it's just a good thing, just once you see one, check the other side. Just same with anything, same with tyres, same with bearings, bushings, anything. Once one side's gone, check the other side, and if you can, honestly, it's best just to replace both sides. Keep everything nice and even, because it will save you hassle in the future. Now, one thing I do need to say, just turn on the old light so we can see, is when you're cutting, if you can see that, when you're cutting your brake line, don't cut it with the snips like I did. I only did that, and I did that right at the point where it was rusty, just to seal it. But when you're coming to actually repair it properly, you need to use little pipe cutters, because obviously you need the end open and you need that end nice and round for you to actually do the repair. So it's just literally a case of screwing this little fella on, and you screw it on and twist. Now, I might actually not be able to repair this where I'm hoping, because it's very, very tight. We'll see. So, case of keep turning it, screwing it slightly, and just keep turning, and eventually you'll go through. Should have already done it by now, but come on. I can't get any room in it. Going on here, come on. This isn't cutting at all. Now, what a nightmare. As we can see, we've cut it. Well, might not be able to see on camera, but hopefully you can. There's a nice hole, it's not squashed. And that's obviously what we need to make our good connection, to make it not leak, and also to make fluid come into the caliper so we have brakes. Just another thing to be aware of as well, depending on the age of your vehicle. A lot of the older cars, now what I mean by older cars, I mean, you know, like 2008, 2009, so even the newer ones still have them on. They have the copper line on it, which is the ordinary copper stuff. That's the most common stuff. But some of the cars, and I think they started around 08 on some of them, uses this nickel stuff. Slightly different colour, but if you don't use this stuff, it will fail all the tests. If the car has got it in, you kind of have to use this stuff. It's more expensive than the copper stuff, but that's just the way it is. And another thing you have to just be aware of, there's a few different, if you look inside there, the hole, the bore of the hole, there's a couple of different sizes. This is slightly bigger. Now, I've only come across this on bigger vehicles like Jeeps and stuff. The car uses this stuff, which is just slightly smaller. So just make sure you get, if you're doing this yourself, make sure you get the right size and the right type of line, brake line for your car. Then you'll have no worries. Sorted. I said I'd quickly show you the actual brake line. This is not going to be the full on how to make them. I have another video on that, but I'm just going to quickly show you. And one thing I always forget to do is make sure you put the connections on before you do your second end, because I nearly did it there. Forgot to put the connections on and do the second end, and then it's useless. It's just a tiny little pipe, and this is what I meant by, if the camera's maybe showing that up, the male end, the one that's bubbled up, and the female end, the one that goes down. So I'm going to make a female end in this side and basically show you how to do it. This is the little gadget. This is my brake making tool. These are brilliant. you can get a couple of different types. This is the one I have. You get ones that you work on a vise, but the problem is the ones that work on a vise is you can't connect it back to your car. So it's better to get these. Now, to make the male end, I only need to use this once, which is this end, and to make the female end, I need to swap it around. So basically, it's going to go in like that. Get my 17mm spanner and literally twist it right to the end. It can't go in anymore. And what this is doing is flaring up the end of the copper line, because this is a brake flaring tool, that's what it's called. So that's in. Now that is done a male end. Now you're not going to be able to see that, but basically that's done a male end. So what I need to do now is swap this around. Now this one doesn't take nowhere near as much turning. And, oh, I didn't show you that, but anyway, it's the same thing, just turn it the other way around. So then screw it out and 10mm, loosen these two off. And this just loosens off. You can see that. So this loosens off. Now, as you can see, we have a male end, so it concaves up, and a female end, which is basically concaved in. So I need to now make a male end for this. So this end will connect in. But that is basically all I needed to do. I know it's tiny, but that's the part that was rusty, and it saves me having to go all the way in through the chassis and everything. Now if it was obviously bad, you know, you obviously kind of have to do it, that goes without saying, but it wasn't, it was only bad here. Now I'm hoping I can actually get my flaring tool on here. This could be a problem, I might have to go further back. But that's it, so I'm going to flare this end now with the male end and hopefully connect it, no leaks, bish bash bosh, get it on, fucking sorted. Out the door with our 10-10 guarantee. What's that? What's 10-10? 10 steps or 10. So, just because obviously I am so thorough on my videos, I just wanted to show you what would happen if you make the end and forget to put the little connection on. Now, I haven't done this because I forgot. I'm doing this to help you so you don't forget. So I'm actually helping you. I haven't fucked up here. I'm just showing you what would happen if you used to do this. Now I haven't fully made the connection because when I was doing this to show you, I didn't have the connection. I only half made it, and as you can see, it doesn't go on. So if you did not put this on, this is what happens. It doesn't go on. So I just thought I'd quickly show you that, just to be, you know, so you have all the information in this video, so you know what not to do and what happens if you do forget. So yeah, look, I'm just trying to help you, that's all, honestly, that's all it is. And then this looks like what you do when you put the connection on first, like you're supposed to, yes. Now it is also important to, when you make your cut, to make it nice and straight, because if it's at an angle, then you're not going to get a proper seal. So there's my connection, here's my little huge brake line. And obviously that just screws together right there. That then screws down in there and we are sorted. Yeah. So I'm going to now screw this down into here. Might need a little bit of a persuasion just to get the little bend in it, and screw it down. Oh, screw it down into there. So then we obviously have to bleed the system. That kind of goes without saying. Again, I've done videos on that as well. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw this in, and we are very close to being done. Yeah. Now, oh yeah, and just so if you think I messed up, what I actually want to say is I literally said about 3 seconds before didn't mess up, that you have to put it on first. So, I mean, it just goes to show that I didn't mess up. Anywho, we now have it on. We have a connection here and a connection there. Now, it's always best once you've made your own connections or even reseated an old connection. Once you bled the system, so either you do that on your own with the tool that I've showed in another video, or you get one of your friends or someone to help you. It's always a good thing to do is for them to stamp on the brakes once everything's nice and bled, and just put a lot of pressure on the pedal just to make sure there's no leaks in the system, because you can get a very tiny leak but the brakes still work, but there's just a very, very tiny leak, and obviously you don't want that. So it's always a good thing just to double check your connections. Again, you can over tighten these too easy, so don't over tighten them, just give them a nice nip. If you're afraid, it's best just to maybe don't go that far, get pressure on them and just nip them up until they kind of stop. That's, you know, if you're unsure of exactly how hard to put them in. But this is one side now done, so I can put that in. I can reseat the ABS sensor, which is nice. Cable tie there just to hold everything nicely in place. So look, I'm going to call it that for this video, because again, I've showed on my other videos how to bleed brakes. I'll quickly go through it now. If you want to see the full on the video, you either have a brake machine that puts pressure on the brake cylinder. Obviously then you just loosen the bleed nipple until the air stops coming out, kind of goes without saying. If you've got your friend to help you, what you do is you need to find the bleed nipple, which is here, where my finger is the camera seeing that? Yeah. And basically what they do is they pump the pedal, it goes soft, and then eventually it'll go hard. You ask them to hold the pedal down, this is with the engine off. You loosen the bleed nipple, air and fluid will come out, you close the bleed nipple, they pump it. You might have to do it 3 or 4 times depending on the car, and depending also on how much fluid you've lost. If you've completely lost fluid like we have, it might take a few more times. But if you're just putting a new caliper on, for example, you can do it in a couple of times. Completely lost fluid might take you 5 or 6 times, it just depends. So we just need to bleed it, bang the wheel back on, do the other side, and we're sorted. So yeah, look, hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.